With a population of over 21 million people, Lagos State in southwest Nigeria is a rapidly growing megacity. To address the challenges of development across all sectors, the Lagos State government, in partnership with the private sector, has since year 2000 hosted the Lagos Economic Summit, otherwise known as Ehingbeti.
The summit provides that kind of theater of collaboration between government as the manager of the public sector and organized private sector as the operators of the daily macro and micro impacts of the economy.
This year's summit, tagged Ehingbeti 2014, is the 7th edition and focuses on the power sector.
Over the last 13 years, the Lagos State government has made significant progress in developing and renewing the infrastructure of Lagos. But it was always clear that without fixing power, we could not really deliver the infrastructure that would make Lagos Africa's model megacity.
Power is the key driver of the economy anywhere in the world. In a survey conducted on the eve of the 2011 general elections, the provision of adequate and steady electricity came top on the list of demands by Nigerians. Currently, Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, produces less grid electricity than the Republic of Ireland, which has a population of less than 5 million people. South Africans consume 55 times more energy per head, and Americans 100 times more. At this present time in Nigeria, 40% of the production cost of manufacturers goes into the provision of electricity, compared to 5 to 10% in other similar economies. Acutely aware of this situation and the need to drive socio-economic and infrastructure development across the state, Lagos State took on board recommendations from past editions of its Economic Summit on Power Delivery and created a full-fledged Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources with the mandate to develop an energy security strategy which supports the state's economic development program. The Independent Power Plant Initiative of the state government captures the need to achieve significant improvement in the provision of power through public and private sector investments in the power generation and distribution assets in the state. Lagos currently has 3 operational gas-fired independent power plants, IPP, Akute Power, Island Power, and Alausa Power, which provide captive power solutions for the state. Between them, a total of 32.55 megawatts has been installed, providing 24-hour supply availability for critical social infrastructure in selected catchment areas. 2 other IPPs, Mainland Power and Peninsula Integrated Power Project, with combined capacity of 14.8 megawatts, are currently under construction and will become operational later in 2014. These power plants currently supply power to facilities within the health, education, water, judicial, sport, state buildings, among others.
The impact has been tremendous. When you get into the hospital, the environment is very conducive for patients and also to our staff.
I went to theater, nothing like NEPA took light. There was light. I came out, there was light. So I thank Fashola for that. All these things has done for women in Lagos State.
For the provision of potable water to Lagosians, the Iju Adion Waterworks, powered by Akute IPP, is currently responsible for the bulk of water supplied by the State Water Corporation.
The provision of the 12.15 megawatts IPP has significantly enhanced service delivery to Lagosians.
Today, Lagos State has the largest size of well-maintained public lighting network in the entire nation, stimulating a viable nighttime economy and boosting investors' confidence in the business environment.
That has helped the command tremendously in fight against crime, particularly the night robberies.
Lagos also boasts the only state secretariat that enjoys 24-hour electricity service in Nigeria. Good as these developments have been, however, the gap between power delivered and power requirement for rapid economic growth is still quite large. Today, Lagos, which accounts for over 65% of all industrial investments in Nigeria and by far the largest power stakeholder in the country, gets approximately 1,000 megawatts supplied via the national grid, as against customer demand of 10,251 megawatts. Industry giants Nigerian Breweries PLC, like a few others in its category, runs on an independent power plant to ensure uninterrupted power supply for its operations.
We have an independent power plant in Lagos Brewery, and basically that runs all the time. With that, we have investment of capital in the power plant. We have maintenance costs. We have engineers running around. We need to get fuel and gas to keep it running. So there is a lot of organizational complexity. But in the end, the most important thing is we estimate that the costs are 60% higher than the cost of getting electricity from the national grid.
In this job, we don't use lights at all. We use them 24 hours. Then we do buy fuel every day. What will be my profits at the end of the day? Because I will pay money for the shop, I will pay for the house rent. The worst part is that NEPA will still bring bill.
Like the nature of our business, selling of petrol for people to be able to move around in their cars. The management tried to provide generators. Like you can see there, we have 2 generators. And the situation here where we use 80 to 100 liters of diesel every day, you should know that there is nothing like electricity supply from NEPA.
After 3 days, 4 days, we don't see light again. So this problem we have, sometimes it makes us lose in our business. We sell some price below the cost price. So all this thing is affecting us a lot.
According to research findings, Nigerians spend several billions of naira generating their own electricity for both business and household use. Clearly, the truth is that government alone cannot fund the provision of all the infrastructure needs in Nigeria. With the significant progress made so far in the electricity power sector reform, a major component of which is the privatization of the generation and distribution of power infrastructure assets in the country, Nigeria has now moved to a modern private sector fully regulated market. Lagos now has the 2 largest power distribution companies in Nigeria, Eko Distribution Company, Eko Disco, and Ikeja Distribution Company, Ikeja Disco, as well as being home to the single largest power generation company, Genco, at Ehingbeti. One of the major problems the power sector faces today is inadequate electricity generation. Since the availability of gas is critical to electricity generation, its uninterrupted supply therefore requires the urgent attention of stakeholders.
I mean, one of the main flagship achievements is the fact that we actually have a dedicated agency, Ibile, who is dedicated to gas production, looking at offshore Lagos on how to maximize exploration so we can make sure that Lagos now becomes like an oil and gas producing state, which obviously will have a knock-on effect to how much power that can be generated.
So Lagos could become an exporter of best practice. Also, Lagos, having the 2 largest disco with the highest revenue generation, Lagos can also become a partner by being part of embedded generation. Lagos can help to embed power in the 2 discos, set up power plants through private partnership that will help to embed more power.
When a government is clear in its mind what it wants to achieve, and we see seriousness, the kind we saw or we have seen in Lagos State, Fidelity Bank thought this is a good partner to go with. We funded Island Power.
With embedded generation demand of over 10,000 megawatts and daily electrical usage per capita of 12 kilowatts per hour, there is a wide field of investment opportunities that the state can only do well to support and encourage.
Lagos State has made a lot of investment, within this distribution infrastructure. So we are a major stakeholder. We are going to support them. We'll make sure they take off, very well. We also talking with them to see how we can support them with a regulatory approval. For instance, physical planning has to, give them all the support they need for their facilities. They need the right of way for most of the distribution infrastructure that they were putting in place.
In addition, the state has put in place other facilities that could really support the discos and gencos in the state. For instance, through its partnership with El Sawedi Cables of Egypt, Lagos State has established a transformer manufacturing industry in Badagry. Increased capacity for power generation requires a corresponding expansion and upgrading of network, equipment sales, as well as the procurement of smart grid technologies. The regulatory authorities in the power sector, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) and their partners must come up fast on the learning curve to protect consumers by ensuring affordable, cost-effective tariffs in the electricity market. Estimated billing has to make way for proper and appropriate metering in order to eradicate the twin evil of overbilling and power theft.
We probably have the most extensive data of any state about where the power is needed, how much they use, and most importantly, how much is wasted and how much people are wasting on diesel because they don't have the right size generators and they're not getting the right power. So we know that figure comes in line of billions every year. So we try and capture that data and educate the public as well on how they can conserve energy and then ultimately save money.
By according the power sector reform their full ownership, support and understanding, Nigerians can now dwell on the bigger picture of the immense opportunities and possibilities a private sector-driven electricity industry offers. A similar transition in the Nigerian telecommunications industry about a decade and a half ago has created economic prosperity and thousands of new jobs for Nigerians out of the carcass of the now defunct Nigerian telecommunications company NITEL. Indeed, the private sector can now bring in more managerial competence and a better trained workforce to fast-track the delivery of power, as well as safeguarding the future of the industry in the country.
Power is a critical enabler, and that every person and every group that is able to participate in order to make power available in a sustainable and reliable way should do so. The opportunities that this will birth are seemingly unending, and the possibilities for Lagos's economy, Nigeria's economy, and West Africa's economy, when power truly becomes stable in Lagos and in Nigeria, are endless.
Since 2012, Lagos State has anchored its economic growth on four major drivers: power, agriculture, transportation, and housing and urban renewal. And with the availability of reliable and regular power supply, investment opportunities in these key areas would blossom into viable projects and businesses. In the agricultural sector, power demand is high for rice, fish, and poultry farming in Lagos State, while food and drinks processing industry, another area which generates direct and indirect employment for a countless number of people, is a heavy user of power. The integrated transportation system in the state will benefit immensely from electricity availability to power its land, water, and rail operations. Provision of power to bus shelters and terminal buildings, as well as the provision of electricity for street lights, traffic lights, e-ticketing, and intelligent transport system, among others, are all areas calling for investment. The availability of power is critical to the implementation of the state government's affordable mass housing program, which presently is in a deficit of over 1 million units. Similarly, the growing tourism, entertainment, and commercial destinations in the state all require electric power to flourish at optimum levels. The Lagos skyline is distinctly dominated by an impressive array of high-rise architecture. It is almost impossible to imagine life at such great heights without electricity. This summit is therefore about building the right partnerships to ensure a smooth transition as possible to a new energy order in Lagos.
I think what we are doing the silent revolution going on, the work that NEC and the partners are doing, the work that the Federal Ministry of Power is doing, and the Lagos State Government, Lagos Electricity Board, and others are doing, is something that in the next 5 years we will enter into a period of sustained and sustainable improvement in the power sector.
Absolutely. Adequate and consistent power supply would improve productivity in Lagos. And because it's the heart of Nigeria, it would increase overall national competitiveness. And when you compare our production to other countries in the world, because the world is far more globalized, then adequate power supply will make Lagos and Nigeria more competitive.
True indeed. Lagos pioneered state legislation on public-private partnership in Nigeria, and investments in security has transformed the city into the soundtrack of a good business and investment environment.
The major achievement is the fact that we are here, we are ready, we are feeling the change coming, and we want to change the lives of people in Lagos.
Surely, there is light at the end of the dark tunnel.